everyone, we're going to be doing a little something out of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly today. I have got a few longer series planned for this book, but today I'm just in the mood for doing something a little small, so I thought we would have a go at this strawberry cake. I think it looks rather fun, and that's sort of what I'm in the mood for doing, really. So I thought I would just share it with you, and we'll have a go at it together. If you've coloured it before, there are plenty of cakes in Johanna Basford's Worlds of Wonder, which could be similar to this one. Let's put it in the middle. There we go. Now, where should we start? I've got my Polychromos just because I find they have the best colours for cake, for the actual sponge cake part of the cake. So that's where we're going to start actually. I rather like using the brown ochre for the cake. It's very hard to see, and we're going to do each layer the same. I just like that in a cake, you know. So we'll start there. So just have a little sharpen. Now obviously the cake is not completely flat. It is slightly rounded, so the edges need a bit of shadow, so we can just put that in like that with an extra layer of our brown colour. This might be a little bit dark for you for a cake. If it is, you can use a yellow ochre or a green gold, something like that, but I don't mind it being slightly darker. It's very difficult to completely replicate the colour of a cake. Now I'm going to just go around the icing drips with a darker bit of this, just to create a little impression of shadow, like that. Just a small amount. I don't want too much, because it wouldn't really reflect. If you think about the texture of a cake, you're not going to see huge shadows, you're not going to see shine, anything like that. It's just a sort of holy sponge, isn't it? So we are fading towards the middle though, and that's just to help us see the sort of rounded shape of the cake. Now for our icing, I'm thinking ahead a little bit here while I'm just doing the cake itself. We've got strawberries, obviously it's a strawberry cake, we've got all our strawberries around it. So what colour icing would you have on a strawberry cake? Well, you could leave it white. I've seen some really pretty versions of this done with white icing. Now that's all well and good. White is quite difficult. This paper isn't completely white, so if you use a white pencil it will look slightly whiter than the paper, but it's hard, isn't it? And you would need a background on the picture so that it showed up and didn't just look like paper, and all sort of, you know, it would stand out from this. Therefore I'm not going to do white. I do think I need to learn how to do white a bit more and use it a bit more, but today isn't the day. So we're going to do a different colour. Now I know my original version of this cake, because this is my second copy of Ivy. I have completed one, and I do have a flip through of that completed book, just as a little aside if you're interested in having a look. I can't remember how I coloured it, but I have a feeling I probably did pink icing. And it seems the obvious way to go, doesn't it, with strawberries? Red is a little bit over the top, really. You don't really see red icing on cakes very much. I think it, unless you're doing something like a picture which needs red, but just having red, I think it looks a bit blood-like. Maybe it's good for Halloween, but maybe not so much for just a nice little strawberry cake. I'm just going to read the text really quickly. Jam sponge, 3-tiered strawberry sponge. It doesn't say. I was just reading it to see if it tells us what colour the icing is. It doesn't. Okay, so we haven't got a clue there, but that's okay. let's have a think. I'm wondering whether to do the strawberries first. Now strawberries, thinking about the colour, they can be slightly orangey red or they can be pinky red. I think they look prettier in a pinky red, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the madder because it's quite a nice pinky red colour. And I'm going to do, now we've got the insides here. These are sort of cut in half and these are whole ones. The whole ones for me are easier. Now the seeds are, because this one's small, the seeds are just black dots that are already here. We want to make sure we can still see them because that identifies it as a strawberry really. And I'm going to just put less layers of colour in the middle to try and get a lighter sort of centre part. Partly to make it look a little shiny and partly so that we know it's not just a flat item. It makes it look a little bit rounded. I would do the same with this one. But if I think about the inside of a strawberry, I think there's some white and there's some lighter pink colour. I think I'm not going to do white. I'm going to keep it all light pink, but I'm going to use the same colour. And I'm going to make this part slightly darker and then this bit really light, like that. Now this is quite fine and you can see a lot of paper through, it's not burnished. We can burnish it in a minute with some white and fade it down just a tad, particularly this bit here. I'll show you what we can do. So I'm trying to put less in that little tiny circle than on the rest, but it's really difficult. I don't think I'm succeeding very much. It doesn't matter. It would all work its way out in the end and you will see how in a moment. So just bear with me while I colour in all of our little strawberries. My mother-in-law used to call them straw bugs. I don't know why. They don't usually have bugs in. I did have some raspberries at a house once and they had, there was an ant in there. They'd been picked out of the garden. I think the problem is when you wash them, which state she had obviously, the ants don't go through the sieve. It was fine. I just discreetly removed it. I didn't mind. Right, so I'm going to use a mixture of techniques for these little strawberries. For the, I'm just seeing what I've got here. Yeah, I've got a blending pencil first. I don't think this one works actually with, hang on, let's start again. Sharpen a different pencil. Right, I'm going to use a blending pencil for the outside bit. I'm just getting it's got some colour on the end of it. This is a Prismacolor Premier colourless pencil, which is their blender. It works well with Polychromos, as does the Derwent. So I'm just going to do the outside bit. So you can see it's now got no paper showing through. It's quite hard for you to see actually. We're not quite far, but it's not as dark as that one, which is what I wanted, but it's the same shade. So we can just go through these with the blending pencil, and it's effectively moving the pencil into the paper harder so that it darkens it slightly but also just fills all those gaps a little bit. But it was sort of using it as a burnisher. What's the difference between a blender and a burnisher? Well, a burnisher is your final layer. It flattens the paper so that no more layers of pencil can be added. So I'm often quite wary of using it because sometimes you want to rework something even if you come and look at it the next day. So I'm reluctant, but I spoke to a professional artist, a professional colour pencil artist about them, and she is actually a brand ambassador for Derwent, and they do the burnisher. And she said she uses the burnisher for teeth, not for teeth, for beaks and claws and things like that, where you want a really shiny look to the finish. So that was interesting. But as I say, I rarely use mine. There we go. So there is our sort of larger areas. Now I want to get into these little bits with a white pencil. I'm just seeing what have I got here. I've got a Caran Luminance white. You notice I'm not using the Polychromos. It doesn't go down quite as nicely, so I prefer. You can use a Prismacolor white. Is quite good as well. I have got one, but it needs sharpening, and I don't have the right sharpener in here. I don't tend to sharpen my Prismacolors with the little Noris, a Staedtler handheld sharpener, because they break in there. Not always, but they prefer the dowel or the Derwent hand crank sharpeners. Now I can see a difference, particularly in the top row. This bottom row is not going down so far. It's probably because it's getting blunt. It's also getting some pink colour on the pencil, so I've just scribbled it on some scrap paper to get the discoloration off, and then that helps it actually put down white rather than the pink it's picked up from the previous bit that it's coloured. And you may have to press a bit harder, but it's probably good to just layer it until you get a satisfactory amount down. I'm just redoing this row because I'm not satisfied that it's quite white enough. There we are. Now you might think it's not worth putting all that effort in, and you might not even be able to really see it. It's completely up to you. Now I'm no closer to deciding on an icing colour. I do think that it would make sense to have a sort of pinkish colour rather than just if we could do it in a cream colour. Yeah, let's do that. That would be different. I just so often just do pink, and let's do cream. So this is actually the Polychromos cream. There is an ivory as well if you're daring. I want something that's I'm gonna know will show up a little bit. You may have to work your layers to get it showing. I want it lighter in the middle, just like the cake. And I'm seeing that just about. It's quite pale, but that's what you expect if you pick cream. Of course, another option that I've now thought of course now I've started and I can't go back, is it could have been chocolate, and that's really easy because you can just use a walnut brown or a burnt sienna and plaster it on quite thickly, because chocolate would be quite thick, and then use a white pen to make some shine, to make it look like it's really shiny chocolate. They've got a word for it, haven't they? I can't remember. So you get like a mirror glaze almost. Tempered, that's it. Tempered chocolate. Yeah. I haven't watched Bake Off for a while. Okay, there it does stand out. You can see that it isn't white and that it's coloured in, and you've got this sort of custard look going on. Okay, let's do our leaves up here for our strawberries. Strawberry leaves, I'm thinking a permanent green is probably right, but we have, oops, it's not going to show, you're not going to be able to see it. We have the bits from the top of the strawberries and some leaves. Now, they're probably going to be the same colour, normal, oh, excuse me, but I think it would be better if we did them slightly different so that you can see them. So I'm going to use this permanent green for the tops. I'm not going to do anything too fancy. It's such a little bit. like that. And then for the leaves, I just want something slightly darker. I'm thinking maybe, yeah, I've got my chrome oxide green here. And what I'm going to do is put a little layer on top of the leaves. Oh, I've missed one there. I'll get that in a minute. Like that. And then go over it with our permanent green so it looks really similar but just a bit darker. And we'll do that one there that I missed as well. There we go. So I'm just going to go over the top of this and hopefully some of that darker green will show through. We can always put some on top. I think we're going to have to. It's not quite as dark as I had hoped, but it's better to layer it up than it is to put down too much. So back to our chrome oxide green, and maybe only doing this bit that's in the gap and not taking that sort of harder colour all the way to the tip. There we go. There. Okay, now we have our sort of, some clattering. Now we have our plate. Now I have done this silver in the past, I think, but I wanted to, I think it's going to be a bit boring because we've got quite dull colours. Our strawberries are quite muted, so I'm thinking let's do something dark. So I was thinking I could do it the same colour as the strawberries, but we've got the strawberries right here which will be the same colour as the strawberries. We could go even darker with our red. I think the darkest red is the dark red. I do sound silly sometimes, don't I? So I think I'm going to use that. So this is the inside of the brim, then the front and the inside. So I think darker here and then a bit lighter, just a bit darker there. It's quite difficult to make this plate quite dark. And we want it to be a little lighter as we go towards the middle. Just gently doing less layers and just trying to line it up with the centre of the cake, which is here. And I'm thinking it would be quite dark under each strawberry, so we can just get a little darker along there. And then this side, a bit darker from each end really. Gosh, I'm thinking about my stomach while I'm colouring this delicious cake, thinking how I'm hungry. It is 11:05. It's not too long until lunch. I always have lunch early at 12. So, Right, let's do some of these leaf groups. And we'll do these strawberries as well, and then we'll make that dough. Let's push across a bit. Because we've got to find somewhere to stop. If we carry on with this, we'll just end up doing the whole page, and I don't want to do the whole page in one session. I think it's a bit much. It's a bit much for me, to be honest. So let's do these little leaves. Let's grab the permanent green again. We want them to match, and make a start. I'm going to try to make them a little darker at the bottom than the top. These are darker, aren't they? I think it's okay though. I might not feel like I need to make these darker. I feel like strawberry leaves aren't always that dark. But I'm going to use some of that darker green in a bit. So I'm going to just get these stems coloured. And then on both sides, and then I'll use the other colour. Now these tufty bits we didn't use the darker colour, so I may not on these, but I will see how it looks once it's sort of finished, really. But I think maybe the end of each one could just have a few more layers of green on. It would be more shadowy compared to this bit, which is right on the top. And then this one's more tufty. I'm thinking a little bit darker near the strawberry and lighter towards the tip. I haven't had any strawberries this year. My husband finds they make him have the most awful tummy ache, so he doesn't eat them. So I don't tend to buy them very much. Cherries are they're nice. They're my favourite summer fruit, I think. But I haven't had them at the farmer's market lately. I've got a very whizzy little machine for getting stones out of cherries or olives, and you put 6 of them into the base and then push down the top, and it sort of pokes the stones down through into the bottom through a hole. It's quite fun. It's a lot quicker than trying to do it with a knife. I mean, you can of course just take this, eat them and sort of spit the stones out, but the children have never liked doing that, and if you're in company it's not the most polite thing to do, is it? But if I'm on my own, I might just spit them into a bowl. It's not very nice, is it? Right, so that is our permanent green, and then we're going to go back to our chrome oxide green and put in a little bit of darker detail. So I'm thinking the base of the leaves to start with, just a little bit. And then the same here, base of these, and sort of in between them a little bit to cast a bit of a shadow. Here we darken the tips more. I'm missing tennis. It's tennis on today. I think the Wimbledon qualifying on today. But, and there's tennis from Eastbourne, I think. It's nice when the tennis is in the UK. Because the grass court season, they show on telly all the time. Now our strawberries, we have to make a decision. Do we do the seeds black? Do we do the seeds yellow? I'm going to do the seeds black because these ones are black. That's the simple reason. So I'm going to do the black first. Now if you're using a very smudgy pencil, do the black last, but Polychromos don't smudge. So I'm going to do my seeds first, and then I can colour over them with my red, well, the madder I'm going to be using, and it'll be easier. I find it easier than trying to put it on afterwards. It's certainly a lot easier than trying to colour around them. We'll just colour on top of them now. That's what I said about if it's smudgy, don't use a smudgy black. If you've only got smudgy pencils, then do it last. Now there are some really cool ways to colour strawberries to make them look all shiny and nice. I'm going to keep mine quite simplistic. I think it's still effective, and it doesn't take all day to do one tomato. No, well, even be the same if it's tomato. It doesn't take all day for a strawberry. Now the stars, I'm trying to think. We've got a few here, or you can just about see them. We've got some here. There's also some at the top. I think I might leave them until I've done the rest of the page and have a think about what colour. This is madder. So I'm going to colour them like I did these. I might colour them in green gold with a bit of yellow, make them like that, but I might decide to colour them in gold pen or even silver pen. I think gold would go better with this sort of palette. Really, we've got quite a lot of warm colours with our warm greens, and our cake and icing is all really warm colours, so I think I'll probably opt for warmer colours, but rather than silver, go for gold. I mean, you could sort of go out the box and not make them metallic, which sometimes I do, and you know, do them purple or something like that if you wish. Okay, so you can see I've left it a little lighter here and a darker around here to try to emphasize the fact that they are round, they're not flat. Sun's out. I thought it was going to be cloudy today. Obviously wrong. It's supposed to be not quite so warm, which is nice. But I need to shut the curtains, I think. The blinds closed in here, but thinking in the other rooms. Make sure the sun doesn't heat it up too much. So this is all the same, just a bit more layers of colour around the edge, a bit less in the middle. We'll add a final touch in a minute. How are we doing? Yeah, I'm just checking how it looks and making sure I'm still in shot. There's a lot of similar colouring on this page. Green around the border I would do. The strawberry flowers, now they're white. I would do them in the palest pink instead to make them easier. And probably not bother with a background, but some people do really pretty backgrounds. Sort of blue would look good, I think. Maybe a sort of cobalt blue, what's it called? Cobalt blue, greenish, green bluish, I can't remember. But the cobalt blue from the poly set, I think, would work quite nicely. Okay, I haven't done those leaves there. How many of you told me about that? Permanent green. Let's just do them, it won't take long. And the chrome oxide green. I assume I did a bit of that. Can't see any. Put a bit on this side. Try and just get them matching. There we go. Should we do this little flourish here? We've got the green in our hand. Permanent green. Trying to just fade towards the tip of the curls. Like that. And then the leaves in the same way as we've done the others. A little bit darker at the bottom. And lighter towards the tip with less layers of colour. And the same on this one. And then we use our slightly darker colour, chrome oxide green, to just, I'm not going to worry about these, they're too little, but we'll put a little bit of darker colour here. Like Now, what I'm going to do too is show you how I would do the stars if I was doing them in pencil. And I may go over them in pen if I change my mind about doing them in pencil, but I'll just show you anyway. So I think the green gold, sorry, is a good place to start with the edge. Like that. And the same on this one. You notice I've just done a line, I haven't done any scumbling inwards because it's too small. Then I'm going to grab the light yellow ochre and go over the top, but extend into the centre a bit more. Now you could leave it like this so that the centre is just white, so that it looks shiny, but I think it needs just a bit of brightness, and I am going to use this, which is the number 106. I have a feeling it's the light chrome yellow, but I don't have my booklet out. 1 minute. Yes, oh, I'm right, it's the light chrome yellow. I impressed myself. And just get that centre finished. Just go over all of it and you get a shine. Now I put like a bit of white on my stars, so we'll do that quickly. I do all the other stars the same way, I suspect, and then think at the end whether it's okay. I think it looks okay actually in pencil. Let's get a Gellyroll 10 and just do, oh no, we need to do some shadows first, hold on. I'm jumping the gun. I'm just going to use my Paynes grey to do some shadows between the strawberries here. Like that, and like this. And then our white. Now, the black dots on the strawberries will have shine on them. I'm going to try and do it with this very fine white marker and put a dot on each one, because those seeds are shiny. Now you can't be accurate, well you can, but I can't be accurate, so I just aim to get a dot somewhere and hope that it just works. There we go, and then I'm going to use the thicker pen that I showed you before to do a shine like that. Johanna's drawn a few dots for us anyway. I'm just extending it a bit, and I'm going to do one each on there, just tiny. Now, if my icing wasn't cream, I'd put a few white dots, but it's no point. But I'm tempted to just outline the star in white. You could outline it in gold glitter pen, make it really shiny. But I just think it might make it look a bit more star-like. I don't know why. Phew, here comes my first hot flash of the day. Lovely. Right, I am going to leave that there and go and find a fan. But thank you for watching. I hope that was okay. As I say, I'm going to be doing some longer series in Ivy, but I just really was in the mood for doing this one, so that's what you've got today. But there will be, yeah, I have shown you the series that I'm likely to do later, and I will do those. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a super day, and happy colouring.